G'day from the Hotel Epoch in Bucharest, and today we're talking the behind the scenes from the Austrian Grand Prix. Now everyone expected Max to win, but I think the real surprise was Lando Norris. So in this video I'll give you all the behind the scenes info, the stuff that nobody else reports on because nobody else sees. Max Verstappen, 3 wins in a row now, and he was very much the hometown favourite at the Red Bull Ring in Austria for round 9 of season 2021. Let's first up talk the crowd. My gosh, they were over the top, weren't they? Full marks for organising so many people in orange shirts. And that stand between, turn 5 and 6, my gosh, that was a pleasure to watch. And in fact, I don't know whether you knew this, but just prior to the start of the race, there were several announcements from the course announcer saying, please do not let off flares, because there was plenty of orange flare activity both on the Saturday and on the morning of the Sunday before the race. But obviously organisers were wary of the fact that you've got fire, smoke, may not be a great recipe, and so they were very diligent in warning people not to let off flares. Great having a big crowd back. Now, it wasn't 100% full. I'm figuring maybe 80%. And thank you to all those people that sent me pictures of me trackside. I even had one picture sent to me of a fella wearing some of my merchandise, so thank you very much for getting behind my merchandise, which is available at kimillman.com. Now, I'm in a working restaurant here, so there is going to be noise behind me, and I thank you in advance for putting up with it. As I mentioned in my opener, Lando Norris was definitely the surprise package this weekend. A second place qualifying effort and ended up third on the podium. Could have been second, perhaps without that penalty, which was contentious. It was interesting to note that the crowd largely behind Max Verstappen was also very supportive of Lando. In fact, at the presentation ceremony after the race and after qualification, there were huge cheers from the crowd in the main grandstand. And for those of you who didn't see the podium ceremony, know that Lando Norris gave his champagne bottle the biggest bang on the deck that I've ever seen, which gets a very thick, frothy emittance out of the top of that bottle. Unfortunately, I missed the shots of him pouring the champagne over his head, which was a little bit later, because I was swapping positions, but hey, you can't capture everything. What you wouldn't have seen, though, is Lando arriving into the track both mornings in this white Mercedes-Benz, and he has to do a big arc to park, and it's fair to say he got the tyres squealing a little bit, and a big broad grin on his face as he got out of the car, he and his trainer John Malvin. And a reminder that these videos are brought to you by Canity.com, the world's best online staff training platform. Check it out, Canity.com. I actually saw Lando's overtake of Lewis Hamilton, but I was in the photo shuttle bus going from one part of the track to another, so I didn't get any photos, but I actually got to enjoy that moment as a spectator. And speaking of Lewis Hamilton, once again, he set the field alight when it came to fashion, arriving in at the track on all mornings in amazing gear. Now, I don't know whether you know, but I had to take off to Albania after the first Austrian race to save some days on my Schengen visa. So I missed Thursday Media Day. And on the Friday, I should have been there for driver arrivals, but unfortunately, I was about an hour and a half later. It should have taken me 2.5 hours to get from Vienna Airport. It took me 4. It could well have been me who put the wrong destination into my Google Maps. But as it turned out, I dipped out on doing driver arrivals on the Friday. But I can tell you that on the Saturday and the Sunday, this is what Lewis wore. Now, the Sunday outfit was, I think, his least adventurous of what I've seen over the last few weeks. Are these clogs? I don't know. They're interesting. I couldn't find a manufacturer on these, but the day before, on Saturday, he was wearing a Casablanca outfit. I asked Angela Cullen whether she has much to do with his fashion choice, and she said yes, she is involved in it, and she also mentioned that it's going to be trickier for him to do as much fashion-wise over the coming races, especially the ones where he rides a motorcycle into the track. But in general, I think everyone's enjoyed seeing what Lewis wears to the track. But there is no doubt it gets people's attention. Still on the subject of fashion, we had Charles Leclerc coming in shorts on Saturday morning and in long track pants on the Sunday, race day. Pierre Gasly's pastel peach-coloured Alpha Tauri hoodie got some comment too. Not quite as adventurous as Lewis, but still stylish. Lando's race engineer is Will Joseph, and arriving into the paddock on the Sunday, I was about to take some photos of Will because I thought I'll whack him in the Men of the Paddock post, and then I see him do this. He's putting his hands over his shirt like this. Turns out he spilt coffee all the way down there and didn't want it known, but Here it is, photographic evidence. Sergio Perez qualified third, but didn't do quite so well in the race, did he? But there's an interesting story here. I saw his brand manager, Luis Alvarez, heading out of the paddock with a Mexican flag. And I said, well, Luis, what are you doing with this flag? And he said, I'm going to take it over to Sergio's sister, Paula, who's in the stand. So I thought, I'll get a photo of her for women of the paddock. Between Q2 and Q3, there's a few minutes of silence. So I rang Luis and said, look, I'm over here. Where roughly is she in this grandstand? And he said, right opposite the Red Bull garage, about halfway up with a Mexican flag. Well, I looked for minutes. I couldn't find her, dipped out altogether. But next day, Sunday, doing the grid, I happened to see a photographer next to me swing around and take some photos, and I look up and he's taking a photo of a woman, so I think, oh, she's attractive, I'll take a photo of her too. Couple, actually. And she's giving the photographer next to me the thumbs up, I thought. And I said to Jose, who's that? And he goes, I don't know, I thought you knew. I don't know her. Turns out, I'm doing my live stream on Monday on YouTube, and just something clicked at this moment. If you have a look at about 1 hour and 7 minutes into my live stream, you'll see me realise that the penny had dropped. I was actually photographing Paula there. And in fact, I shot her back in 2017 with Checo's helmet on in China after the race, standing in front of this huge Checo poster. If you're approached in the street by a scammer or a pesky salesperson, the worst thing you can do is to talk to them. The moment you open your mouth, they know what language you speak, and if they're any good at their trade, they will be brilliant at persuading you. So once again, when you're approached by someone you don't want to be involved with, simply walk on by. By my reckoning, 15 of the 20 drivers did the green carpet walk. Let me tell you a bit about that setup. It's pretty impressive. There are 4 55-inch television screens. There are 4 Sony A7 cameras. They all have external microphones. They all have a 24 to 70mm lens on. All of the people there won their spot in a Red Bull competition. They were using a Cisco system and recording both the feed and the vision and audio directly from the camera. And they produced a number of videos, which if you go to YouTube and search, you will somewhere find. And what are the setups worth? About 15,000 euros each. They are used once a year for F1, also in MotoGP, and may have future uses down the track, I believe. Who else did I see at the track over the weekend? I saw Dominic Thiem. Now, Austrians will know him. He is their #1 tennis pro in the world. And very obvious when he made his entrance into the track on Sunday, he was a Red Bull ambassador. Got the can out, it was open for him, and the whole time he was having it up near his mouth, doing the right thing for his sponsor. Other notable persons that I photographed over the weekend, probably 2 of the biggest names were John Elkann and Ola Kalenius. Here's John, he's the head of Fiat and as such the head of Ferrari. John was dressed typically in Italian style, along with his family who were certainly colourful, and Ola on the other hand was dressed more conservatively. Now you would think that from a German company, although Ola is not German, he's in fact Swedish and heads up Daimler and Mercedes-Benz. Daniel Ricciardo caught up with an old friend in the paddock. He's talking here to Mark Mateschitz, who is the son of Red Bull Supremo Dietrich Mateschitz. Ideally would have liked to have featured Mintu Räikkönen in my Women of the Paddock post, but unfortunately these were the only shots I got walking away from me with her 2 youngsters in the paddock. And I never photographed Kimi on any of the days coming in because, as I mentioned before, he came to the other end of the paddock. And realistically, you have to ask yourself, do you want to forego 15 drivers and take 5 drivers? So I go with the numbers. And for those of you wondering what dogs were spotted at the track on the weekend, well, Lewis had Roscoe there again, and Angela was doing the duties of taking him out for a quick wee and a poo up on the hill just opposite where the motorhomes are kept. And Mick Schumacher also had his dogs with him. On the subject of motorhomes, a couple of people have asked who owns those things. Some are owned by the teams, some are owned by the drivers, and some are rented by the teams. And I can tell you that at the track on the weekend, Lewis and Valtteri had their motorhomes there, as did the two Haas drivers. Fernando and Esteban had motorhomes at the track, and I think Sebastian Vettel. But Lance Stroll had his motorhome outside at a separate park. Hopefully you've learned a few things about what went on at the Austrian Grand Prix at the weekend. The crowds were great, and hopefully we'll get crowds at all races going forward. Obviously none at the Australian GP, because this morning it was announced that that race will not be proceeding, as everybody expected. And I doubt it will go ahead in March next year. I think more likely maybe November in 2022. And we're going to have even more people at the Silverstone race this weekend, if you're watching this as I've posted the video. And that's going to be very exciting, because those British crowds are equally as enthusiastic as the Dutch fans were at the Red Bull Ring. From the Hotel Epoch, I'm going to bid you farewell now and thank you in advance for liking this video, for subscribing if you haven't done so, and also for clicking the bell button. And remember that members get free wallpapers every month, along with a number of raw images uploaded to a Dropbox that you can go and edit. My F1 driver photo books plus the best of 2021 photo book are now available at kimillman.com, and they'll be sent to almost anywhere in the world. You can also get merchandise at kimillman.com. For my digital pictures, head to prostarpics.com, and for my best images live from the track and during the week, head to Instagram and search at Kim Illman. Thanks for watching, and stay passionate. In second place, as you realise, and I don't know what I want to say about that. What the fuck am I going on about that for?